how we scaled a barefoot shoe Shopify brand using advertorial driven blue ocean strategy from 5K per month all the way up to 900K per month in revenue. This is going to be a complete breakdown of our methodology and how we typically work to scale this kind of companies in these similar situations. You can see one of the screenshots here. This was our best day in July, 64K in a day for this kind of product. So to give you a quick recap of this product, in January 2025, a barefoot shoe econ brand. I cannot tell you the brand name or show you the exact advertorials because we have an NDA with them. But this brand was struggling to break through market noise and scale. By September, so 9 months after, they were processing 900K monthly in revenue. This transformation wasn't done just by increasing ad spend or making better creatives, but obviously they were an important piece of the puzzle here. It was not by better products or market timing. It was the result of a systematic methodology that identifies untapped market segments and spoke to them through strategically crafted advertorials. So we worked together with the creative team and the marketing team to create new markets, new ways to sell the product and scale to this kind of level. So just gonna get very quickly into the results and the KPIs that you're gonna see in this video. The revenue in February was $5,000 and in July, August, it was 900K per month. So both in July and August, we hit 900K. The traffic increase was 400%. And we maintained the same conversion rate, because what usually happens is you increase traffic and obviously all the metrics go down. Conversion goes down, ROAS goes down, profits goes down, and more. In this case, the data remain kind of stable. So same conversion rate at 5K per month and 900K per month. 50%, so half of the total traffic was driven by advertorials. The main traffic source was obviously meta ads, and we maintain all metrics while competitors saw a degradation of scale. And in this case study, in this video, you're gonna see the complete strategy behind this transformation. So this is gonna be a replicable strategy that we call the 4-pillar system that can be applied to any physical product brand ready to scale beyond traditional direct response limitations. It could also work with digital products, but obviously for the sake of this video, we're gonna focus on physical products because that's where most of the brands are. So they sell physical products. Let's get now into the problem that this brand was facing before. In February 2025, January, February, so when the brand was making roughly $5,000 per month, they couldn't find how to scale the spend. In 2024, they had some months where they got above 100K per month, but it was a rare occurrence. So it was not a completely new brand. They were hitting some 100K months, some 6 figures months, but it was rare. And they did it in Q4, so it was not a brand that was ready for scale. And from October 2024 to February 2025, they generated 18K in total. By July 2025, they were at 900K per month, as you can see from the screenshot below, with a pretty good conversion rate, a pretty good AOV, and overall a pretty good revenue per session here. Most brands follow the same predictable path. They find a winning product page, scale with paid ads, and eventually hit an immovable ceiling. And that ceiling typically appears between 10K to 30K in daily revenue, regardless of how much money they throw at advertising. So this is what most brands do. They just run traffic to a single product page, and once that page is starting to degrade in performance, they just move on to either another product or they just find new ads. And the reason why this is happening, the reason why they cannot break through a certain amount of revenue range is because they're competing for the smallest and most expensive segment of the market, which is the most aware, or in some cases, product aware audiences. As you probably know, because this has been trending in the e-com space now, every market breaks down into 5 awareness levels, but most brands only focus on the bottom 10%. So this is how it typically works. You're gonna have an unaware segment of your audience, people that don't know they have a problem and don't know anything about your solution and everything else. You have problem aware and solution aware, which are the biggest segments. So problem aware is for people who are feeling the pain but don't know the solution. Solution aware is for people that feel the pain and they might already found something about a solution, but they haven't chosen one. Then we have product aware, it's people that know not necessarily your product, but a similar product. And then you have most aware, which are people that are ready to buy, just need the right offer. And here's the thing, most brands, especially dropshipping brands or I would say like 80-90% of brands do e-commerce and Shopify, they optimize for that 5%, so that most aware traffic, and they ignore the other 60%, so problem aware, solution aware. Traditional e-com funnels target people who already know what they want and they know your products and everything else. They just need the right offer. That's why most dropshippers, they only focus on increasing the discount or making crazy offers like buy one get three, for example, so they can sell more, because they are appealing to the 5% of the audience. They're fighting over the smallest slice of the pie, the most expensive, most competitive traffic, and you're never going to win with this. Meanwhile, the largest segment of potential customers sits in problem aware and I would say solution aware too. So they feel the pain your product solves, but they don't know your solution exists, or maybe they just know your solution exists or something like that, but they don't know enough. And that's where you need to go for. So you need to go for this audience because it's bigger, you can make a lot more money, you can scale a lot faster with this, if you have the right strategy, which is what I'm gonna break down now. So this is what we call the Incrementium, which is my agency, 4 pillars methodology. This is how we broke through the ceiling and why this framework works for any physical product brand ready to scale systematically. While other competitors guess, we engineer predictable results using 4 systematic pillars. So these are the 4 things that we typically do and that we focus on, so we can unlock this new market, so that we can scale you over 30K per day and unlock all these markets for you, so you can scale, you can make your brand more attractive to investors, and you can live a better life pretty much. So these are the 4 pillars. Pillar 1 is probably the most important one, which is the 8-document intelligence system. Most agencies and most e-com brands in general, they do surface level competitive research. So they maybe do some research about the product, they script some reviews, but that's it. On the other hand, we conduct forensic level market investigation. It's 8, sometimes even more, interconnected research documents that decode the customer psychology, not just demographics, but we want to cover everything about your product. We want to know exactly all the details, all the audiences, all the benefits, everything that people say about your product or similar solutions, so we can leverage all this data for our marketing. So for example, instead of target woman 35-55, we identify distinct personas with completely different pain points and buying motivations. This becomes the foundation for everything. You can optimize what you don't understand. So this is the first part, the core. We do this for landing pages, but obviously these documents will be very useful for ads, for emails, and for pretty much every kind of marketing piece that you're going to put out. So this is a list of the documents that we typically make for this. So we analyze the market awareness, we deeply analyze the product, so all the ingredients, if applicable, all the benefits, the features that your product brings. We mine all of your reviews or your competitor reviews. We do psychographic analysis, so we analyze different personas with their different pain points, fears, what they want to achieve, the outcomes, and more. We analyze your competitors, we analyze your ads, we do qualitative research, so we analyze your surveys, and we map all of your customer objections so that we can know exactly how people feel about your product, what the objections are before the ad, what the objections are after the ad, and in the landing page. And also, if applicable, we are going to be running research on your quantitative data, so all of your advanced metrics in Shopify, current funnels, and the past A/B tests. So the first part is this big research phase where we want to cover everything about your product so that we know we are more informed on everything that your product can do and who your target audience is and who your target audiences are, because it's not going to be just one target audience, it's going to be a lot more. Pillar number 2 is the AI-powered prediction system. This is probably, again, I said that the market research is the most important. It is. This is the second most important. This is an AI predicting engine like the one that we have internally, because we do have a software internally to predict the performance of the A/B tests, and this greatly increases the success rate of our landing pages and our A/B tests. The industry average A/B test win rate is 17%, meaning that 83% of your tests will fail. Our AI system analyzes patterns from thousands of successful tests to predict winners before launch. So we have a system that simulates the market, that simulates the performance of the A/B test before launching. And the result is that our win rate is double, in some instances even triple, 17%. It can be 30, 40, even 50%. We test what's likely to work, not what might work. For this barefoot shoe client, we could predict with a pretty good success rate which angles and which advertorials would resonate before spending their traffic. Obviously, it's not possible to get to 100%, unluckily, because you can be 100% sure of anything pretty much. But with this AI system, you can get relatively close to 100%, and 50% is very close to 100%, because if 1 in 3 tests are working, you are a lot better than if 1 or 3 tests was working. This system is huge and is what is responsible for many of our wins. And without this, we would test more and find less winners. So that you can understand like the importance of having something like this. Then let's move on to pillar number 3, the blue ocean strategy. So this is where everything comes into place. For each product, we perform research to understand what market segments are less competitive and with higher potential. I've got an example here. This is obviously not the product of the case study, but it is an example to show you what kind of markets we can unlock for you. So let's say you are selling black seed oil, which is a health product for skincare mainly, but it's got benefits for pretty much your whole body. And we would do research here to understand what kind of markets could benefit from this product, aside from the classic skincare, because this product here is sold mainly as a skincare product, but there's a lot more ways to sell this. For example, we might do research and understand that we have the period relief market, because the product is very helpful for period relief, the acne market, and the anxiety market. So we just find benefits of the product that can be sold, and we find markets where this product hasn't really been sold yet, and we get into these markets with new advertorials and funnels. Well, and for this specific product, so the case study product, while competitors were fighting for the same barefoot shoe enthusiasts or grounding shoes, we identified adjacent markets. Same product, different problem it solves, different audience. Instead of better barefoot shoe, we positioned for chronic pain relief for seniors. And this unlocks entirely new traffic sources with less competition, higher intent. Because on purpose, we try to find the markets that've got less competition, so the blue oceans, so that we can spend less to acquire customers, we can get a market share quickly, and then we can replicate this process over and over for other markets. And I'm gonna get into details about this later on. And pillar number 4 is the conversion certainty framework. Every funnel we make goes through a science-based 127 points review system. So not only we have all the systems to find new markets, perform in-depth market research, and predict the performance of every test, but after that, we want to get everything through our checklist to make sure like every psychological trigger is optimized. This is pretty much a Q&A checklist. So before launching every funnel, we get them through all of this. This is not based on just like guesswork. It's based on almost $2 billion in tracked revenue. And we use this every time we want to launch a funnel to make sure that all these psychological triggers are there and present. Every element serves a research-backed conversion purpose. As said before, we ideally want to make it 100% sure for landing pages to convert. We know it is mathematically impossible, but we also know that with science and psychology, you can get relatively close to that number. These 4 pillars work all together. Research identifies the opportunity and the best way to sell the product. The AI predicts the approach, Blue Ocean finds the market, and the framework executes flawlessly all the steps together. You remove any pillar and the system fails. So this is the strategy that we typically have for clients, and for this client here, which got the 5K to the 100K boost in sales. Let's get back to the client and to the situation that they were in before working with us. They were having like the classic DTC problems. They had an established product market fit, because even if they were 5K per month, they had months where they get a 6 figures. So it was not a new product that was not proven to work. They had some strong word of mouth marketing and repeat purchase rate, which was proving us that the product was a good one. And also there were like a lot of competitors like Hike Footwear, like I mentioned one, and they were making, I think, mid 8 figures per year. So the product was definitely working. But they were stuck at a low monthly revenue, and they never really scaled past 100K per month. In Black Friday 2023, they did 180K per month, but still it was during holidays, and they were not able to replicate that any month after that. Every attempt to scale ads resulted in worse metrics and wasted spend, And they had the classic DTC symptom that I usually see in brands, especially the brands that are more product focused, which is great product, wrong marketing approach. And one thing that you have to know about this market is that the barefoot shoe market is crowded. Like, there is a lot of brands selling the same product in the same way. There are direct response brands targeting 50 plus audiences. Think Hike Footwear, which is a massive brand making mid-8 figures a year in revenue. There's a budget options from Amazon, and there's like more community driven brands. So there is really a lot of brands here. So it is very hard to stand out, especially when you have all the same product. And this is probably the most red of oceans you can find. And selling in red ocean markets will set you up for failure unless you have huge budgets, you know what you're doing, and you did this already in the past. So unless you are a killer in the e-com space, selling in red ocean is going to be hard. And even the killers in the e-com space are trying to sell in blue ocean markets because for the same effort you can get much better results. So there is really no point into selling into these red ocean markets. Again, they had high competition from established players, educated buyers who comparison shop extensively, price sensitive customers focus on features, limited traffic volume and expensive customer acquisition, CPMs that were through the roof, and also seasonal fluctuations because these products are seasonal. So it is a difficult product to sell. And using our document intelligence system, we identified something competitors missed entirely. 60% of the market wasn't searching for barefoot shoes, they were searching for their problems. So chronic foot pain relief, plantar facility solutions, comfortable work shoes, shoes for nurses, all-day standing shoes. These people already spent hundreds, if not thousands, on failed medical treatments. They were problem aware, they knew they had pain, but not solution aware. They did not know barefoot could help. And we understood this through research and through actually talking to our customers. Most of them, they were complaining that they were spending hundreds of dollars on, for example, therapeutic shoes, on visits to the doctors, hospitals, and so on. So they spent a lot of money, but didn't know that the shoe could fix that. And the breakthrough insight that we had wasn't that the product was wrong, but it was that the positioning was wrong. We were not selling to barefoot enthusiasts, we were selling to people who work jobs where you have to stand up all day, suffering from chronic pain, who happen to need what barefoot shoes provide. And this changed everything. Instead of competing in a crowded, price-sensitive market, we could create an entirely new category where our client would be the obvious solution. So one thing to notice here is that you can do this only if your product is actually good. Like, in order for you to unlock these blue ocean markets to find new ways to sell the product needs to be good and it needs to solve ideally multiple problems. Like, these shoes were perfect because they were solving a lot of problems. There's like a lot more blue ocean markets like other than the one that we selected here. You can sell them for better sleep, you can sell them for athletes and more. So the product is the most important thing here. If it solves problems of multiple types, you can unlock pretty much infinite blue ocean markets and you can scale this to even 10 million per month. And I'm not kidding. Let's now get into the blue ocean research and strategy development. On the other hand, blue oceans help you sell your products much more easily and they increase your market size significantly. So you can see here there's like a lot of boats and all fishing for the same fish. Here, this only you. Using the 8 document intelligence systems, we map the real market and discover 3 distinct personas. The barefoot convert, so someone who understands the footwear, like the minimalist footwear market. Someone who is researching extensively before buying, that is price sensitive, and this was the persona that all the other competitors were targeting, or most of the competitors. We have then persona number 2, so the wellness biohacker. Very small but profitable niche, high income, early adopters interested in grounding, heritage technology. So there's like a couple other brands selling this. So I would say this is more of it's not a red ocean, it's probably like a yellow, green ocean, but still not blue. And then we found the third persona, so the desperate problem solver, which was 40 to 50% of the market. This was the main blue ocean discovery. It was people suffering from chronic foot pain, which was mainly healthcare workers, teachers, retail employees, people working all day standing up. They spent hundreds on failed medical treatments and they are fed up with all the solutions pretty much. They're not searching specifically for the shoes, but they're searching for pain relief. So the breakthrough that we had was that instead of competing for just barefoot enthusiasts, we would position the product as the solution for people who would be failed by the medical system. So that was the angle that we decided to go for. And everything that we decided was not on gut feeling or guesswork. It was based on the research that we made. So we found their pain language, so how they were complaining, the financial trauma. So we found that, like, for example, on Reddit, many people were mentioning that they had a lot of treatments but didn't work. And on, like, still on Reddit, because Reddit is a gold mine for this kind of strategies, we found that many people were working this kind of long shift jobs. Like, for example, I'm a nurse and I work long 12-hour shifts on my feet. This affects every movement of every day. So we scraped Reddit, we scraped all these blogs to find the problems. Most importantly, they had money and they were desperate for solutions. So this is the hungry market that we wanted to go for. So the old positioning was better barefoot shoe for barefoot people, and the new one was after doctor failed me, this $69 shoe finally worked. Same product, different market, different positioning, different audience, and something that no other brand was doing. We went from competing to we went from competing with Amazon and like these low quality budget solutions to competing with orthotics inserts. And this works because we get into an underserved market, so a market that pretty much no one was going after, especially with our solution. There was less competition, higher emotional intensity because these people are suffering from pain and they want to fix it as soon as possible. There were better unit economics because desperate buyers are going to spend more typically. And there was a clear value proposition. Our product was the better solution compared to all the others. Like, our product was $69. We were competing with like therapeutic shoes that were like $400. So there is a big advantage in doing this. So this was the strategy. So the holistic funnel strategy they wanted to implement for the brand. Now let's get into the advertorial strategy and implementation. The first question that you may have is why advertorials over simpler, more straight to the point product pages. Educational sales pages for problem solution aware audiences will unlock new possibilities for your e-com brand. The thing here is, if you sell to a different market, most likely a blue ocean market, it is going to be very likely that your audience needs education because they don't know everything about your product. You're not selling to the most aware or product aware audiences. You're selling to new audiences that are not aware about your solution. So you cannot just slap them a PDP and think it's going to work because you're not going to educate them enough. So you have to get them through an education process first. And for this example specifically, most brands here that we're trying to sell barefoot shoes to barefoot shoe people. So people who know already everything, they compare thousands of shoes already. We sold pain relief to pain sufferers. And with this kind of audience, so 60% of the market, they needed education before they're ready to buy. They didn't know barefoot shoes can solve chronic pain. And again, if you send straight to a product page, they're gonna feel like it's not a shoe company trying to sell me something. And it's not, there isn't an education part, and people don't know, they don't have their objections handled, they don't know why the shoes work for their specific condition. So this is why we need advertorials, because we want to educate people before getting into the sales part of the funnel. So very quickly, I'm going to go through the framework structure of the advertorial. That is the one that is currently winning. So I have a complete guide on advertorials. So if you go on the link that you're going to find below this video, you're going to find the guide to the advertorial and everything else that I'm going to mention in this video. But here is the framework that typically works for this page type. So advertorials, just a very short description, is a sales page that is a blend between an editorial, so like a blog post, and a sales page, which means that it's a page that typically leads with education. So those sort of like breaking news style pages where we first educate people about something, so more on the, I would say, education slash entertaining side. And then towards the end of the page, once we got all the education in place, we transition into the sales part where we position our product as the solution, and then we go and sell the product. So we typically hook with a personal story. For this specific brand, we lead it with after $800 in failed treatments, this finally worked. And it was a story of someone who tried all the different solutions that I was mentioning before. So the visit to the hospital, different treatments, different custom orthotics, like medical products that didn't work, and how they discover the solution that works. We then agitated and make the problem bigger. So we validated their pain point and frustration with the medical system. We identified the enemy. In this case, the other solutions were the enemy. So for example, the orthotic insoles or the treatments of like 90% of the doctors. Then there was the education phase. So we explained why the conventional solutions did not work. And in this case, the conventional like support shoes were actually weakening the feet. We introduced the mechanism, so how barefoot design rebuilds natural strength. We went on to social proof, so stories from people in the target audience, so healthcare workers and chronic pain sufferers. Then we added a risk reversal, introducing the product. So product introduced as the solution to their pain. Risk reversal to make sure that people knew that there was no risk in buying the product because we had guarantee and more. And that is pretty much the structure. So you lead with a problem, you agitate the problem. This is the classic direct response strategy and framework. You agitate the problem, you explain to people why other solutions don't work. So now in their mind, people are gonna say there is no solution that can help me. And then once they think this, you're gonna introduce your product. And then you explain how it works, social proof, risk reversal, and then you can sell whatever you want. And one thing that is very important for advertorials is having market-specific messaging. Instead of technical barefoot shoe benefits, we spoke their language. So as I was mentioning before, we had to scrape Reddit and all these blogs to understand what their language was. Then this language gets into the advertorial. So again, instead of the technical benefits of features of the product, we wanted to lead with their language. So for example, medical authority angle. After 23 years as a physical therapist, I realized I was wrong about foot support. Financial contrast. So in this case, these $400 orthotics are making your pain worse. Professional relevance and personal transformation. So we took the words from the customers. So we went on Reddit, saw like some blogs, some posts about the problems of this niche, and then we took the same, like we copy pasted the same words and the same sentences. This is very important because it's going to make your advertorial much more congruent and much more familiar with them. Then once we made an advertorial, we moved on to testing and optimization. The more you test, the more likely you are to find something that works. As you can see from the screenshot here, we tested a lot of different advertorials. You can see the angle is the same, chronic pain, but we tested a lot of leads, so a lot of headlines, sub-headlines, and more. The more you test, the more likely you are to find the combination that works. So again, your goal here is to test more things, as many things as you can, with a thinking behind every change. Because of course you don't want to test randomly, but all of your changes and your test needs to have a reason behind it. And these are the things that we tested. So launched 10 different advertorial angles simultaneously. Each targeted specific pain points identified in research, because the research were mentioning that chronic foot pain was a good angle, but there were other angles too. So we had to test more markets. Again, the more we test, the more likely we are to find a winner. We tested variables, so different personas, so like nurses, teachers, retail workers, different pain points, so plantar fasciitis, knee pain, back pain, foot pain, and more. Storytelling approaches, so medical failure, professional discovery, personal transformation, and social proof types. So peer testimonials, videos, authority figures, transformation stories. So we had to test all these variables to find the combination that worked. And the strategy that we have behind testing is we don't test with like CRO tools, for example. We test straight on Meta. So we have the ads, the whole funnels, a combination of the ad and landing page. We test all of them in a separate campaign. The ads with a positive ROAS, we scale them. And if the ad sets aren't getting any sale or very bad sales in 48, 72 hours, we just kill them. And we double down on winning creative variations. So we test very aggressively. We don't wait 14 days for statistical significance because that's going to be too much time lost. So we just test with this structure on Meta. If they work, we scale. If they don't work, we're not going to scale. With Meta, you can see the performance right away. So typically, if you don't get any sale in 24, 48, 72 hours, you're not going to get sales, or you're going to get very low sales. So it's not worth to scale that. So we typically want to scale when we see results right away, and it typically works. And after going through this process, we identified a winning angle. So chronic pain storytelling with medical system failure narrative. This was the best performer and the one that got us to eventually 900K per month. So chronic foot pain was the pain that resonated the most with the customers. And the kind of angle that we want to use in the positioning was the medical system failure. So like all the solutions that didn't work and that costed you a lot of money. And obviously we saw that with the performance. So highest click-through rates, best conversion rates, and best ROAS and lowest customer acquisition. So this data means that it was a winning advertorial and a winning angle. Why this angle won? Because it directly addressed the bigger pain point. So financial trauma from fake treatments. It provided a clear enemy, so the medical system. You know how Americans are typically a little bit conspirationist, I would say. So if the medical system is the enemy, this is going to resonate with a lot of customers. We offered hope through a peer success story, and we created urgency through fear of continued suffering. The winning advertorial did not sell shoes, they sold hope to people who had given up. So this was the winning angle. I'm going to quickly move on to the campaign execution and results. As I was mentioning before, we typically want to look at ROAS, customer acquisition, click-through rates, and more on Meta to see if funnel is a winner or not. So traffic source, Meta advertising. We did some Google ads too, but it was mainly Meta. New testing campaigns for each advertorial angle, scale ads with positive ROAS, kill those with negative data. And I'll mention advertorials, but you always want to try product pages because maybe sometimes even if the customers need education, sometimes the product page still works. So we send some traffic to the advertorials, some traffic to the product pages, and we send another traffic chunk to the collection page too. And as far as the testing methodology, instead of random creative testing, we use predictive intelligence. So I mentioned the predictive AI system before. We used a variation of that in here. So we had a systematic approach. So each advertorial targeted a specific pain point, identifying research. Chronic pain storytelling angle emerged as clear winner from first 2 weeks. We scaled winning creative variations while killing underperformance angles, and we maintain continuously testing pipeline across multiple demographics. So we don't want to sit down once we have a winning funnel. We want to keep testing and making it better because it's going to eventually die out no matter how blue your ocean is. So we're monitoring the ROAS across all angles. Quick kill decisions, very important. Aggressive scaling of winning combinations and geographic expansion once angles prove successful. And as far as the monthly revenue progression, as I was mentioning before, I'm going to zoom in real quick. January and February, we were like 5K per month. You could see that like in 2023, 2024, we had some sales numbers. I think this was roughly 50K per month in 2024, but obviously we had pretty much nothing. And then we went up on March, April, a little bit down in May and June because we had to find a new advertorial. And this is when we found the angle and we got to 900K per month, July and August. And currently, as of September, October, we're finding new angles to prepare for the Q4. The transformation wasn't overnight, as I was mentioning. So January 2025, the client acquired this brand. So based on operations, traditional approach, February, $5,000, starting point after implementation of the strategy. March, May, steady growth as advertorial campaigns gaining traction. July was the breakthrough, and August was 900K sustained, proving scalability, not just a spike. And the metrics that mattered are this. So most agencies see conversion rate drop as traffic increases, and most brands, and we did the opposite. So 400% increase in total visitors. The conversion rates remain stable throughout scale, actually improved slightly. You can see here they got up by roughly 14%, so a pretty good amount. Customer quality we maintained due to precise targeting and pre-qualification, so the market was still good. There was a pretty great cost efficiency because we had a better ROAS than direct product pages campaigns, and with the fact that we had new markets, we could acquire customers more efficiently. And 50% more or less of the total traffic of the store was driven by advertorials. The other 50% was split, I would say 40% to the product pages and 10% to the collection pages. Why all this happened, why the results were there? It was not luck, but the results were engineer produced. One big reason for this is the pre-qualification effect. Advertorials educate prospects before they reach the offer, creating higher intent traffic. With a pretty good market positioning, the blue ocean positioning reduced competition and lowered acquisition costs. With a systematic optimization system, the AI-powered prediction system identified winners faster than traditional testing. And also, the audience was very aligned because the messages matches research identify pain points with precision. So we're not just writing copy and developing our market message on like from scratch, but we have the research to back that up. And this was translated into less competition in target keywords because obviously it's a new market, higher commercial intent from pay motivated searches, better customer acquisition, and more scalable audience segments. And the good thing about this is that this is not over. We found a market, but there's 10, 20, even 100 new markets we can sell to. We can do the same process over and over again to find more pain points, build new advertorials, new funnels, new ads to unlock more markets. And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep testing new markets to see what scales, and we're gonna replicate this process until there's no more markets, which is gonna be very hard to happen. So now that you know how we scaled this brand from 5K per month to 100K per month, let's get into the thing that's probably gonna interest you the most, which is how you can replicate this structure and this framework, this strategy to your own brand. So this isn't just a barefoot shoe success story, it's a blueprint for any physical product brand ready to scale systematically. So this is typically the characteristics you have to look for or you need to have if you want to scale like this. So physical product brands with proven product market fit. So if you're at zero, maybe first you should get some proof that your product is actually something that people want. And also you should have a product that works. So these are like the main requirements. The revenue should be between 1 million and 50 million annually. So they have some traffic and some budget you can spend to testing. The products that you're selling, they need to solve problems beyond their obvious category. The market should be dominated by feature-focused competition, and your competitors should be stuck at traditional DTC scaling ceilings, so selling to the most aware audiences. So if you have these requirements, if you have these features, you will benefit a lot from this strategy. Even if you don't have all of them, you can still benefit from it. Like I would say like the most important thing is to have a good product that works and has got many benefits. If that's the case, you can scale it with this strategy. Even if your revenue is, let's say, 5K per month, like the brand that I was mentioning, you can still do it. Even if you have other competitors, you can still do it as long as you go to different markets. So this strategy can really be done by everyone if you have these simple requirements. And these are the market conditions that signals opportunity. A large problem aware segment, so when you have people that are problem aware in your market, competitors focus on most aware buyers only, or maybe focus on problem aware buyers but in different markets. Adjacent markets with different search behavior, emotional purchase drivers behind product features, and established treatment categories with higher failure rates. If you have these conditions in place, you are pretty much safe and you're sure that it's going to work for you if you do it the right way, if you test it the right way. So again, just to give you a recap of this whole strategy, because it's been a pretty long video. These are the steps that you have to do in order to unlock these new markets and scale to numbers that you would not think were possible. So step one is the market intelligence. So you want to run all of your market research process to understand the market and the product. And this is our 8-document intelligence system to reveal the customer language patterns, hidden market segments, emotional drivers behind logical benefits, and competitive blind spots and opportunities. You want to know where this is like the biggest opportunity, the biggest blue ocean. You then want to discover these blue oceans. So you want to do some extra research to know these markets, so to find the adjacent markets and to see if these are viable options. So if there's actually a demand for your product. You want to focus on problem aware or solution aware audiences. You want to focus on the biggest chunk of the market. Most brands, as I said before, they focus on the 5% and 10% of the most aware. You want to focus on the 60, 70% of the non-aware. You then want to use advertorials for this, or listicles. You need pages that educate your customers, and advertorials do that. And what advertorials do is they convert problem aware to solution aware or to product aware. You want to leverage systematic testing, so you want to test, as I was mentioning before. So you want to use prediction systems to increase your hit rate. You want to scale rapidly the winners, and you want to kill quickly the losers. You want to continue optimization based on performance data, and you want to test multiple angles for market coverage. You want to, of course, monitor the conversion rates during scale phases. You want to maintain customer quality through precise targeting. You want to balance volume growth with profitability metrics, and you want to protect brand positioning during rapid expansion. So you need to make sure these numbers stay consistent, either by testing and by improving your processes. Let's now get into why most CRO agencies get this wrong. This image is not from my clients, of course, but it's from Reddit. So we don't have clients with zero revenue. And this is what most agencies do wrong. So maybe you talk with CRO agencies already, and most of them, like 90% of them, they do something wrong. So they optimize for the smallest market segment, focusing on most of their buyers who already know they want to per category. They do this because this is simpler. It is very simple to sell to most of their buyers, while selling to problem-aware and solution-aware buyers requires more marketing knowledge, and many CRO agencies do not have that. They compete on features instead of creating new categories. They fight over the same keywords instead of finding uncontested market space. So they just help you do what you're doing already. So they just help you maybe make a little bit more sales from the most aware market segment. But once you run out of customers there, you're back at square one. They use generic best practices instead of market-specific research, applying one-size-fits-all approaches without understanding unique market dynamics. And they scale losing campaigns, hoping volume will fix conversion problems. They just throw more traffic at fundamentally flawed positioning. So this is why typically other CRO agencies, they don't even think about a strategy, because it's something that is so out of their thinking that they're not even gonna think about something like this. So they just focus on your existing traffic and everything, ignoring that other markets can unlock you a lot more scale than just optimizing your little most aware segment. So now that you know everything, let's get into the implementation roadmap for e-commerce brands. So this is the steps that you can take if you want to implement the same strategy. So phase one should be the market research, which is for the first 2 weeks, even 1 week if you're fast, which is creating the 8-document intelligence system. So all the documents that I was mentioning before, so market awareness, competitor analysis, product analysis, and more. And you want to identify the blue ocean opportunities. You want to map the customer journeys and pain points, and you want to develop persona-specific messaging frameworks. Let's then move on to phase number 2, where you are going to be developing the campaign. So for week 3 and 4. Here you want to create advertorial variations for the top 3 angles. You want to build systematic testing infrastructure. You want to develop conversion tracking and attribution, and you want to establish performance benchmarks. So the KPIs you want to hit to scale or to kill the campaigns. Then we move on to phase number 3, which is testing and optimization from month 2 afterwards. Here you want to launch multi-angle testing campaigns. You want to optimize based on performance data, and we want to scale winning combinations aggressively and kill what doesn't work. And we want to refine the targeting and messaging based on the results. So we're gonna iterate based on the data that we see. And for phase 4, it's gonna happen after week 8, so end of month 2, month 3. We want to scale and expand. So we want to expand geographically the winning angles. So let's say one angle is working in the United States, you can scale that to the United Kingdom and test them there, or in Australia or other countries. You want to also expand with more blue ocean markets. You want to expand with new offers and products, and you want to measure like the market penetration, get into new markets, and positioning your brand for the long term. So that was it for this case study. Now you know the strategy that got us from 5K to 900K per month. It wasn't about finding a magic advertorial. It was about systematically identifying an underserved market, speaking their language, and solving their problem with precision. And here are your next steps after looking at all of this. If your brand has hit the traditional DTC ceiling, the question isn't whether this methodology works or not, it is whether you're ready to implement it systematically. So you know it works, you just have to implement it now. And the brands that will dominate the next decade won't be those with the biggest ad budgets. They'll be the ones with the most sophisticated market intelligence and systematic optimization processes. Of course, having a big ad budget is definitely helping, and if you have it together with your strategy, I can really think about how much you can scale, but you can scale a lot, like 8 figures per month, 9 figures per year. The 4 pillars methodology doesn't just scale revenue, it builds defensible competitive advantages that compound over time. I know that one of your problems for sure is that you've got drop shippers copying you from for example. I know because most of my clients have this problem. They have a team just for the MCA and for people ripping their ads and landing pages. With this strategy, it's going to be much less likely, because if you have all these new markets, you have these new offers, these new funnels, and these new creatives, it is going to be much harder for someone to copy you because they're not going to know why that market works. So still, you still have someone copying you, because unluckily that is really not possible to avoid that. But if you have this strategy in place, it's going to be much harder for someone to copy you. So it's another moat that you can add to your brand, and it's going to be much better for you over the long run. And while your competitors fight over the same 5% of most of their buyers, you'll own entire blue ocean markets that they don't even know exist. So if your brand is ready to scale using this exact methodology, this is for you now. You've seen the framework, you understand the strategy, you know the results are possible, you see that it works. But here is the reality. Implementing everything, so the 4 pillar system, so the research, the AI prediction, the blue ocean strategy, and the conversion certainty system, all of this requires expertise, sophisticated tools, and months of systematic execution. Only the market research documents alone, they take weeks to complete properly. The AI prediction algorithms require years of data to build, and most importantly, one mistake in market positioning or advertorial strategy can waste hundreds of thousands of dollars in ad spend. Like the Barefoot Shoe did not achieve 900k months by accident. They partnered with a team that had already refined this methodology across dozens of successful campaigns, which is my team. And if you're ready to scale and skip the trial and error that comes with this strategy, and you want this exact system implemented for your brand, this is what you have to care about now. We're currently accepting a limited number of new clients for our comprehensive 4 pillars implementation program. This is not a consultation program, it's not a strategy session, it is a complete done for you transformation using the same systematic approach that generated these results. So if your brand is generating at least 1 million per year with a good product and you're ready for a systematic scale, you can click the link below here in this button and you can book a strategy call with me personally, where I'm going to walk you through the strategy. I'm even going to give you some examples right in the call of what you could do, some markets you can go after and some advertorials you can build, and then we can either do everything for you, or you can work out with some good insights about the strategy. The brands that will dominate the markets in the next 24 months are making the decision right now. So if you are interested, if you want to implement this full strategy, if you want to make your brand bulletproof from competitors, if you want to unlock all these new markets, if you want to scale to potentially 9 figures per year, click the button here and we're gonna build up a plan for you. So see you on the other side, and thank you for watching this video.